Ladies and gentlemen, this is Personal Development with Victoria. Welcome.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Personal Development with Victoria. This is PD with me and I'm super duper excited to be appearing in front of your screen once again to talk to you about a topic I find passionately interesting, and that is storytelling. Now over the number of years that I've spent or time that I've spent on social media, there's something I've come to learn from your founders, your entrepreneurs, your business owners, and that is the power in storytelling, which is something I'm going to be talking to you about and giving you 3 confidential information on how to track your brand, how to promote your brand, and how to do something beautiful through the power of storytelling. So let's get right into this video, ladies and gentlemen. This is Personal Development. Hi guys, welcome back. Let's get right into today's conversation on personal development. We're going to Victoria. We're talking about storytelling. Like, you know, since on time when you hear gossip, when you hear someone yarn on social media, you'll be like, oh really? Yeah, I followed this, I tagged this, all these followers of celebrities, I don't want to mention names, or you get the point. Everybody likes the gist, everybody likes the gossip, everybody likes the juice, everybody's interested in what is the latest thing that's happening. And because everyone is interested in that, founders, CEOs, brand owners, entrepreneurs must find a way to capitalize on the emotional and subconscious aspect of a typical human being who likes to understand the juice and the gossip and everything, and use that as a medium to sell your market. That's essentially what storytelling is. Storytelling is not just saying, oh, it's the art of telling stories to people for them to hear and listen. It is the creative art of selling yourself, your brand, to the people that you want to associate, buy from, learn from, or, you know, just be affiliated with what you're doing or buy into the idea of what you're doing. And when it comes to storytelling, when you look on social media, you see that a lot of brands have a lot of story to tell. And I'm not going to go, you know, I'm going to come back home and mention some of the brands that we are mostly familiar with. You know, some of the brands that I have looked at, I have seen their CEOs doing a lot of storytelling in either the events they are putting together or the projects that they are putting together are brands like the popular My Food by Hilda, by the 3-time Guinness World Record holder Hilda Baci. You can tell that Hilda has a story behind her brand. And it reminds me of a saying that I read from a book by Simon Sinek, where he said that people do not buy what you're selling because of what you're selling. They buy because of why you're selling it. Let that sink. People don't buy what you're selling because of what you're selling, right? Because, I mean, come to think about, Hilda is not the only chef in Nigeria or Nigerian acclaimed chef or Guinness World Record holding chef. She's not the only one, right? However, it is why she is doing it that people associate or people want to belong to what, or, you know, buy into the idea of what she's doing, because she and her team have found a very creative way to do it. Let's leave the food industry. Let's talk about skincare. Look at Diary of a Nigerian Girl. A lot of people who have followed her story know where Dan started from. And today, Dan has stores all across different parts of Nigeria. Dan is a Nigerian-made skincare line. I'm not talking about Fenty. I'm talking about skincare products, perfume products, and other body products that a Nigerian woman has made to suit both Nigerian and international skin. That's Dan. There's a story behind it. There's a problem that she's studying to solve. But the most intriguing one I want to talk about is Estebare. Now, Estebare is a brand that I've been following for the past 6 months, because Uzodinma Esther has just been appearing on my timeline for like the longest period of time. And I've been wondering, like, what does she have to offer that a lot of people, like, I keep seeing her on my timeline. And that's essentially because a lot of women, which is not something I like to talk about, have facial hairs, including myself. And sometimes we struggle with, so if you want to clear up these facial hairs, you want to get them off without leaving those nasty bumps and nasty stuff and everything that is just there. What products can I use? You try international products, and some of these products are either too expensive, or they don't just work, or they leave the scars worse than you even started. So when I saw Estebare, I was quite intrigued. Like, this is a Nigerian woman, so she understands the peculiarity of our skin. She understands the peculiarity of, facial head women and what we're struggling with. And she comes up with a product. And she doesn't just come up with a product. You see her at events, you see her at galas, you see her at gatherings with other CEOs and entrepreneurs and investors, and she's preaching the gospel of Estebare. She's trying to put out a story behind why she started Estebare. Because why? She had used lots of products to deal with the problem and decided, you know what? Let me try doing something myself. And sometimes you realize that for a lot of CEOs, especially people that have products that you typically see that internationally owned or worldwide recognized individuals have, is because they tried this product and it didn't work for them. And so they decided, why don't I do this thing my way, adding the peculiarities that affect me and see if this can solve the problem. And to be very honest, I admire their courage in doing this, because oftentimes people just say, let me just deal with this and move on. But people that take the step further and say, this is a problem I'm facing, this is a difficulty I'm dealing with, and I'm going to work very hard to ensure that I solve this problem by putting in their time, their resources, their energy, their money, everything into making this work. It is admirable. And I say kudos, thumbs up, in fact, double thumbs up to you guys for what you're doing as founders, as CEOs. Now, I just mentioned 3 powerful women that have 3 brands here in Nigeria and are doing amazing work with them. And please, before you come for me and say I'm just mentioning women brand, it's a women's month. I mean, happy International Women's Day to all our amazing women out there who are doing beautiful things. And to me, it's even time worthy that I talk about this. And so what have these founders done? What have these brand owners done that is significantly different from what you are doing, or what makes your business seem like it's not going well? You're not telling the story. You're not showing people why you're doing what you're doing. You're just showing us that you're doing it. You're not showing us the process. You're not showing us the breakdown. You're not showing us the sadness behind it. You're not showing us the grief behind it. You're not showing us the achievements, the celebrations, the milestones behind it. And people always want to see where you started from. You know, when I think it was Timaya or Port saw that from the trenches I remember, I think it was Timaya the Star, the plantain boy from Port Harcourt or something like that. You know, most musicians always think about their roots. CEOs must always go back to their roots. What made you see the problem and what made you want to take action? Because there are a lot of problems. So the first thing is, what was the egg? What was the thing that troubled you? What was the problem that you saw? So sometimes people tell stories around it, right? For Estebare, I had facial hair, or rather, she had facial hair, and she needed something to deal with that, because, to be honest, it can be very troubling. Not because of beauty or because you don't want people to say that you have facial hair. As a person, it can be very troubling. I'm speaking from experience. And so you're like, what can I do to deal with this? You don't want to use shaving stick. You don't want to do all that to avoid the bumps, and it can be very painful sometimes. And so she says, what can I do? She begins her research. She begins speaking with people. Then there's the idea period. So the problem period. Then there's the idea. An idea pops up. But remember, an idea without action is just a dream. Clock it. An idea without an action is just a dream. So she comes up with the idea that, you know what, let's try and see if I can put this together by myself. What are the products? And I think one of her interviews I was seeing, or one of her content I saw on my feed, was she had traveled to places like China, different countries, to research, even down to the bottle labeling, the packaging, the product itself. She had tried the first part. It didn't go off as smooth as she wanted it to be. I think there's a tagline I saw recently that intrigued me. I think it was cream, wait, clean, or something like that. I think cream, yeah, I applied the cream, wait, and then clean. Yeah, it was fantastic storytelling, right? It summarized her product and she applies it to all types of skin types and skin colors of women, and it was beautiful to see. So that's the idea period that comes in. You begin your research, and along the line, maybe your resources do not carry. So guess what? The idea dies. But then she took action, and as a lot of CEOs do, with the backs and the setbacks, with the flopping, with the no funding, with the resources being at, just minimal, she still decided that, I'm going to see this till to the very end. And she does what? Start applying for grants, Instagram, starts pitching her product, people start buying into the idea, investors are now interested. Guess what? If Estebare did not come out, or if Uzodinma Esther did not come out and say, I want to tell you guys the story of how I got here and why you should buy into my product, nobody will be interested. Nobody's interested in your idea. Everyone wants to see the action you took and the idea behind that action. The idea alone is just the dream. And dreams without actions are, like I said, they're dreams. And so, after the idea phase comes the implementation phase, where you begin to act and begin to tell the story. So now there are 3 angles to storytelling. 1, the problem stage. 2, the idea stage. And 3, the implementation stage. The implementation stage is where you implement your ideas, and it is where storytelling becomes a powerful tool. Now you have gotten a problem, as most innovation people know. I mean, this is not a bragging period, but I have a diploma in innovation management, and I remember that one of the things we taught during that period was that for every solution you see, for every product you see, there is an innovation behind it. And innovation comes with identifying a problem, working out steps to see how you can solve the problem, diagnosing that problem, identify the problem, diagnosing it, working out steps to solve it, the solution comes itself, and then you see the product comes to life. So the implementation phase covers essentially every single aspect of that, and everyone needs to be aware that storytelling is a big part of that. So the storytelling, you tell us the process. So usually people start by telling us what the problem was, how they even got the idea. So for some people tell you, I was sleeping and I got a revelation. Some people tell you that someone inspired them to, do this and give them the idea to continue to do it. Some people tell you that, they got the idea from their friend. Some people tell you that it was sheer hatred for poverty that motivated them to build brands like this. So when you see tech brands, you see industries like, let me mention Money Points and OP and all your quick service platforms. Why do you think they came to life? Because there was a problem with your typical banking system, where you're either overcharged for any deposits or transaction you're carrying out, or there's a network issue, or there's just a delay with the transaction. And then these people come and say, let me tell you what we offer to make us stand out in this entire thing, which is also part of the implementation process. This is what we offer. We give you faster, non-charge services. And people buy into the idea, because guess what? Nobody wants to spend money on necessarily. But that does not mean the banking sector does not have people. People are buying shares into banks every day. People are opening accounts almost every day. The banking system still stands secure because there is a sense of security behind it. But there is also a platform that offers the same security but with added advantages. And so people make their choices, which is what essentially life is about, variety. So as a brand owner, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a founder, you need to understand that storytelling is powerful. Tell your story from reality. Don't fabricate your stories, because it will come back to bite you. If you tell me that the reason why you decided to launch a product was essentially because you just had a dream about it, and you don't tell me anything aside, there was nothing that bothered you, it sounds very unrealistic. It sounds like you stole the money and did what you did. But when you show me the struggle process, now for some people, they may say, it's not every brand that has this backstory, struggle. If you talk about the Otedolas and the Dangotes, DJ Kobe and her sisters, people that are getting Ferrari as birthday gifts, they don't necessarily have to struggle to get there. Every CEO, every founder has a struggle story. So let them be the Dangotes of the world. Because guess what? You're dealing with humans. You're dealing with people who don't think in the same line with you. That idea that you have is not in their head. You must find a way to sell them the vision. You must find a way to sell them that idea. So to convince them, that work you're doing, that's the hard work. Show us the process. You see things like, get ready with me, I'm going for a CEO's meeting, get ready with me, I'm going to get my team. In fact, there's this guy that impresses me so much. I think this popular videographer who does content for a lot of the celebrities, Siaga. I'm so impressed by his work. A lot of people want him to cover their events. A couple of years ago, I didn't know, let me not say nobody, but I didn't know who he was. But once he started entering the right circles and he started telling the story behind his content. Now, storytelling is not just about how you came there. Now that you're there, tell us what's happening. I remember when he was telling the story about his light guy, the guy that carries light and went to an event and danced, and it became a sensational thing. Like, it became something that you see on BB's feed. And people are like, oh, this is Siaga guy, it's a Siaga guy. And brands and celebrities are like, oh, yes, Siaga, yes, Siaga, yes, Siaga. And now it's like a household name for a lot of content creators. They even has a master class and all that, you know, working together and everything. But you need to realize that he always tells a story. Most of these people always tell stories about how they got to where they are and how the process is going for them. So if you're an upcoming CEO or a founder, or you're just someone that likes to talk about a particular idea, tell a story about it today. And don't forget to subscribe to Personal Development with Victoria, as you are going to become our future CEOs who will be telling us stories of how you got your breakthrough and how you brought products to life. And I wish you all the best. And once again, thank you so much for joining me on Personal Development with Victoria. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and share your experience in the comment section about storytelling and what it means to you. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, bye-bye.